All right, guys, welcome back. Chief Kirk for Kravology. This week we're going to talk about Krav Maga and talk about how you can discern, and I'll show you a point, or I'll make an illustration or a point for you. How you can discern when you're doing Krav Maga, when you're doing something that Taekwondo made up in his basement. So stay tuned for this. I think it's going to be very helpful for you. All right, guys, welcome back. As you can see, I have James with me today. Listen, there are several fundamental issues around Krav Maga, so let's talk about a few of them. Number one, it has to be based on instinctive movements, right? You should follow the principles, right? The four principles: address the danger, counter, control, and finish. You extrapolate those based on weapon and context. And one of the things I think that people miss about Krav Maga is this idea of a family tree where motor skills and movements are reused in defenses. And here's the key. Here's something that very few people understand. It's a way to look at a defense, if you understand the whole system, to look at a defense and understand whether or not that defense fits in the system. Here it is. Does the defense make a movement that can be used when there's a familiar position or a familiar movement from the attacker that is only somewhat familiar, but brings out of you or jumps out of you a movement you've made in another defense, right? So a really easy concept is inside defense versus straight step. That's super obvious. There are other things like distance, angle, and the high line, low line, where the attack's coming from, how the attacker's position, how the defense is introduced. All these things are calculated under stress in our midbrain and our amygdala. And when they look similar to us, we make similar motions and movements. So two things happen. If you're doing Krav Maga, the movement you're training is a movement that's still sufficient and safe for the defense, even though the defense might not be the same. Hence the family tree where multiple defenses share various movements or motor skills. But what we have in Krav Maga now, in the much larger communities, we have people doing Krav Maga defenses or saying they're Krav Maga defenses that haven't passed this litmus test. And this is the foundational gold standard for Krav Maga. So I want to give you a simple example. We're going to do inside defense. So I've got a training knife with me. We're going to pull it out here in a minute, but you can see it's a training knife, right? And what we're going to do is I'm going to do inside defense from two angles. And I'm going to do inside defense the way a lot of people teach you, which is to really reach out and make contact with the punch coming in as quickly as possible. I want to show you what happens when we do this. So I'm in this position here. James is punching, and I go, whoa, and I go, look how far my arm is, and I go, hey, wow, I made my inside defense. Right? Let's change this. So now we're in position here. Come up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so I'm reaching out. Oh, look how I made my inside defense. And you step away, James. And look, my arm is 80% extended. Right? This is incorrect. So we're going to go back again. The reason it's incorrect is if you had a family tree and you're looking at the family tree, the movement you make to make inside defense is also the initiating movement for straight stab. The straight stab looks the same often because it's coming off of the same hand on the same line, right? So as I get to this position, if I make this redirection the same, here, and I do this, I have redirected, I don't know if you can see this, I've redirected it so that it's off my head, but my body, even in body defense, still is in the way. Can you see this touching me? Let's go to this. So I'm making the same defense. Out here, oh, I made the redirection. You can see I'm at the edge of my body, right? Even if I turn at this point, it's too late. So I think we have inside defense and straight stab videos on Kravology, so go check those out if you want to. But the concept is this. When you're doing a technique, there has to be a powerful consideration around whether or not the motor skills in that technique can be extrapolated to other techniques safely and effectively, because those techniques are presented in a way, or the danger is presented in a way, that allows or forces or brings forth from the defender, leaps from the defender these responses. Right? So if you're in a place where you're training and you're trying to figure out, does this really fit Krav Maga? The first thing you have to understand is the entire system, and you have to understand the family tree and what defenses share common motor skills and movements. And when you do that, you're able to then look at the defense and say, hold on, wait a minute. In this defense, it should share this motor skill. And someone has made a change to the defense to the point that defense is now dangerous because what will fly out of the defender is not what they're teaching. Because what the defender sees is so similar to another technique they've already trained and is sort of ingrained in them. So understand, Krav Maga is not only effective because we're doing defenses that are efficient and optimal, but part of the reason they're efficient and optimal is we're capturing motor skills and reusing them. And those motor skills are always safe and effective in the techniques. If they're not, it doesn't get in the system. And if you haven't done that depth of thinking and exploration of the system, you should. And if your governing body hasn't, or if your instructor hasn't, they need to do that. He or she needs to do that. Because you could be doing something that's unsafe, and ultimately really isn't. All right, as always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our Kravology. Go to our social media, make some comments, send some questions our way. We might just answer your question on video. As always, walk